Hi, I'm Chanel. Welcome back to my channel. I talk about the things that should have been taught in school or by your parents but weren't. And today I'm going to focus on the top 5 things that I learned throughout my 20s. And this video is really near and dear to my heart because if I had known these things when I was going through my 20s, I could have saved myself from some really sad nights. I probably have more money in my bank account, and I also probably would have just had a way better dating experience. So let's get right to it. So number 1 is that life after college is rough. And this is something that I wish my friends or anyone had told me, because I went into my life after college thinking that it was gonna be amazing, I was gonna be making more money, I was gonna be independent, and I just didn't think about how hard it was gonna be to make new friends in a new community. You go from college where you have all your friends readily accessible, everyone is your peer, everyone has a similar experience in regards that you went to the same university, and you just have this bond, and it's also just, you bump into people all the time. It's so serendipitous. But in real life, it's not like that. It's very different. You have to work at trying to get new friends. You need to put yourself out there. I would have definitely gone to more happy hours or gone to more, work events, or said yes to every single potluck or thing that my friend invited me to, because you need to put in the effort in the beginning. You really need to try to put yourself out there, be vulnerable, post on Facebook or social media or anything to say like, hey, I'm living in this new city. I'd love to meet up with some people if they want to go get lunch or go for a walk or whatever, because those small things can lead to you finally having that new set group of friends. And I think, some people are lucky where a lot of their friends maybe move to the new city that they're going to be living in, but I think most people actually don't have that many friends, or only have like one person they know who lives in that new city. So just know that it's gonna be a little rough, but it's okay. This is normal. You just need to put yourself out there. It's gonna be worth it. I love my friends that I made post-college. I think they're some of the best friends that I have to date, but it took some time, and that's something that I had no idea was a thing, and I wish I had known, because I had so many nights where I was crying and wondering, was I doing something wrong? Was this different than what my friends were experiencing? Because no one was posting about it on social or saying anything. So no, it's normal. It's okay. Don't feel bad if it feels rough, and it'll get better. Number 2, do not get attached to a certain outcome. Stay open. I pictured myself getting a certain job, living in a certain city, in a certain area, having my best life, and I thought that was gonna be what my life was like in my 20s, and I would just be making a ton of money, I could do whatever I want, I could be truly independent. But you just never know what cards you're gonna get and what life is gonna deal you, because oftentimes what you expect or what you think is gonna happen is not what happened at all. It could be your job, it could be who you end up with as a partner, who your friends are, or what city you're living in. There are just so many things that you really can try to have control over, but if you try so hard to control it, it actually just makes it a lot more stressful. And if things don't pan out the way you had envisioned them, you just got really upset and really angry. Instead, just go with the flow. I think it's still important to have goals. Try to put yourself where you want to be, or go where you want to go, and be who you want to, grow up to be. But know that there are going to be failures, there are going to be obstacles, there are going to be things that you totally had not expected to happen but did. And that's normal. I remember when I was a senior in college, I was interviewing for this job and I got to final rounds. They flew me out to the city. It was amazing. I actually knew 2 other friends from my college who were also planning to go work at this company. And I started to just think about my life and plan. I was like, oh, I'm gonna be working at this company. I can live here with them. We can go to work together. And I just started dreaming up this future. And then a week later, I got the rejection and I was so devastated. But I actually think if I had just stayed open-minded, honestly, not getting that job ended up really working out for me. I didn't see it in the moment, but later on, I got an offer from a company that I'm just so much more happy with, and I actually feel like it's a way better fit. But in the moment, you don't realize that. Be open. You never know what's gonna come from a rejection or from a failure. I truly believe that things happen for a reason, so just trust the process and believe that what happens is meant to be. Okay, number 3, save money. This is something that sounds super obvious, but people forget. Universities and colleges should have personal finance classes, but they don't. And so I think when people often graduate, they just start thinking that their budget, they start spending and thinking that they're, spending really efficiently, when in reality, they're trending towards debt. So things that you should really think about, do you have a savings account? Do you know what a 401k is? Do you have a credit card? Do you know what a credit score is? These are all, if you don't know what those 3 things are, jot those down, and after this video, just go Google them and realize how important these things play out in regards to your financial well-being for the rest of your life. So just be aware and be cognizant. And if you're someone who is already graduated and has a full-time job and don't know what a 401k is, please underline that one and go Google it later. I don't have time for this video to go into it, but I think it's really, really important. There are so many benefits that companies offer that can really help you for retirement savings and really get you to a good place sooner. So just please be aware. And I want to reiterate that saving money is so important. I know a handful of people who really didn't think about it, like I said earlier, and they would go out every night. They would get takeout. They would buy a round of drinks for the group because they wanted to impress everyone, or they would buy really expensive and luxurious products. And I think those are all things you can treat yourself to, but you just need to take checks and balances and understand, what's my salary? What am I making on a monthly basis? What are my costs or expenses? And just ensure that your month-to-month net is positive. You want to be making a positive gain every month and not spending more than what you're making. So look at your salary, also include tax deductions, and divide that by 12 to figure out, month by month for the year, what can I spend? Please save money. Next, for dating specifically, or actually in life, but for dating, know your standards. Dating is a pretty big mess in your 20s, and that's something that you will learn. And your 20s honestly is a roller coaster in general, but it's gonna be unique in that you're really discovering who you are and who you want to be with. And you're gonna encounter all different kinds of people. You're gonna find someone who, seems totally perfect and someone that you should end up with, but you just don't feel anything for them. Or you're gonna come across someone who you're falling head over heels for. You think they're the one, but they're gonna disappear or reject you randomly, and you'll have no context as to why. This is normal. These are the constant ups and downs of dating in your 20s, and myself included, and a lot of my friends have gone through it. But one thing that I didn't do very well earlier on when I was dating in my early 20s is really stick to my standards and know my standards. There were many times that I was chasing after a guy who had zero interest in me, or who I knew ultimately wasn't willing to commit or didn't want to commit to a relationship. And that was what I wanted at the time. And I just kept chasing them and thinking oh, I can make him change his mind. I'm that kind of girl. And you don't want to spend so much energy, both, or mostly emotional actually, that you're just chasing after someone who doesn't really want to be with you. You shouldn't have to convince the person that you end up with that they should be with you. You want to be with someone who actively wants to be there and is putting in as much effort as you are. And so my point here is, if you have someone who is not up to your standards, then have the strength, which took me a long time, and I know it's way easier said than done, but have the strength to leave, or know what your deal breakers are. I don't think I even knew what my deal breakers are until 3 years after dating, because I was just oh, whoever I feel the chemistry or spark with, that'll work out. No, know what your true deal breakers are, so that if you spot them, or if it's happening repeatedly, you can have the strength to leave and say, this is not what I want for my life. This is not what I want for my partner. And then just see what happens. Honestly, sometimes I feel when the girl, like when whoever puts their foot down and leaves, that's when the other person is like, oh, like I actually really like, but again, know your standards, stay true to them, and it'll save you a lot of heartbreak and wasted time. Final piece of advice, which I live by and I think is something that anyone should really take in as a learning, is that you really should prioritize relationships and be kind. You never know who is going to end up where and what they might be able to give you in the future. I just think your network is so powerful, and I don't mean this in like the annoying sense of like, oh, let's all go networking, but like be kind to everyone you know, because you don't know who that person is going to end up being. Like I've had so many, you know, like 5th degree connections or people I randomly met one time at an event who aren't, you know, close friends or in my close knit community, who have helped me get a job, or who've helped me, you know, get into this event, or who've helped me go somewhere really unique. I think it's so important to treat people with the respect that you want, and don't judge people by title. I think it's so unattractive when someone is really attentive and kind to the CEO or the, you know, C-level person in the room, but if a janitor walks by or if someone who's an intern walks by, they just completely ignore them. Don't be that person. I think kindness goes a really long way, and you will see that who you know can really make or break you. So just be kind, prioritize relationships. I also think strong relationships lead to really great happiness. Steve Jobs has talked about it in one of his speeches before he passed away, but relationships are what make your life fulfilling and purposeful. So please be kind and prioritize them. All right, so those are the top 5 things that I think are really important in regards to what I learned in my 20s. And I hope they help you as much as I think they will, because I just would have loved a fairy godmother to tell me those things. But anyways, please subscribe. I am just starting out and I really love this stuff. And I think, you know, the more subscribers I have, the more I can learn from you guys on what you really like, what you don't like. So click that button.